Karen from Scrappy Canuck Studios, and I'm here for Crafting Kimmy Stamps to share with you a new tutorial. These pop-up box cards are everywhere right now, and if you haven't seen them, they're all about kind of layered embellishments and stamps inside of this box-like shape. And the cool thing about them is that they actually just fold up just like this so that it fits into kind of a standard envelope. You can write a little message on the back, and then the recipient gets this cute little card when they open it up, full of all sorts of different embellishments and surprises. So they're lots of fun, and they look complicated, but they're actually quite easy to make. And I'm going to share with you how to make one that's the standard A2 size, so it'll fit in your standard envelope. All right, so let's get going. So you're going to need a piece of base cardstock. This cardstock needs to be 9 1/4 inch wide by 5.5 inches. And then you also need a little piece of coordinating cardstock, and I've cut this one to 3 3/4 by 2 inches. And you know, it doesn't really need to be 2 inches. I'll show you why a little bit later, but I just used a piece of scrap, and so that worked out really well for me. And then you're going to take your scoring tool. I'm just going to make sure this is going to be inside, because you can see there's a mark here. And I'm going to score at the 2 1/8 inch mark, 4 1/4 inches, and then I'm going to go up here to 6 3/8 of an inch, and then I'm going to go up here to 8.5 inches. And now I'm going to take my cardstock and I'm just going to rotate it so my shorter end is across the top, and I'm just going to score at the 2.5 inch line right down to the bottom there. Perfect, and that's it for scoring on that piece. Now I'm just going to take my little piece now, make sure my long end is across the top, and I'm going to go at the 3/4 inch there, and I'm going to go at the 3 inch mark here. Now these little tabs are actually going to be on the inside of your box. So they're going to form the tab that all of your embellishments are going to sit on. So now you're just going to turn it. Depending on whatever your width was, just go halfway down. So if you did the 2 inches, just score at the 1 inch mark, and then just use that as a guide just to trim your pieces in half. These little pieces, again, are going to go on the inside, so it doesn't really matter if they're perfect or perfectly straight, just as long as you've got kind of these nice tabs here on the side. I'm just going to get these score lines kind of folded so they're ready for later. And then we're ready to go. Okay, now working up towards that 2.5 inch score line, hopefully you'll be able to see it. I'm actually just going to take my scissors and trim up each of my score lines, stopping at that 2.5 inch score line. So we're just going to stop right there. And I'll just take my scissors and snip up to here. You can do this on your cutting board too if you want, if you're more comfortable with that. I just really love my Kirby scissors, so I use them for everything. There we go. And now I'm just gonna, you've got this little kind of extra tab here. We're actually just gonna trim that off. So I'm just gonna cut in and just trim that off. And because this is gonna be a tab, I actually just want it to have kind of a nice edge. So I'm just gonna kind of trim off the corner here. That way when I fold it into the box, it's gonna create a really nice clean tab. And then I'm just going to take each of my score lines, and I'm just going to take my scoring tool and make sure each one of these is folded in really nicely and really firmly. You want some nice creases here. And hopefully you can already see that the box is starting to be created here. Okay, and we'll just do the same thing across these ones here. We'll just fold them down just like this and just really tighten up that edge, or that fold, sorry. Perfect, and then we're set to go with the next step, which is getting the paper ready for each of these sections. Okay, so now we need to create all of the little panels to decorate the card. You can see when you fold it up, we don't really need anything for the inside down here, but we are going to need little pattern pieces for up here, and then when you flip over the back of the box for the top and the bottom as well. So the easiest thing to do is just to cut 2-inch strips, because each of these panels will be 2 inches wide. And then you're going to need 2 long ones. I did one in white and one in pattern so that I had something to write on. And these guys are going to be 5 1/4 inches long. And one will go on the front and one will go on the back like that. It'll create a nice strong base for the card too. And then we're going to need some of the pattern pieces in 2 different sizes. So I need 6. I chose 2 different pattern pieces, and these ones are 2 3/8 of an inch by 2 inch, and they just kind of go along the top here. And we only need 3 because remember you have the other pattern piece, and then the other 3 are just going to go on the back side, just like this. So again, same dimensions, just on the back side, so we've got a little bit of a different pattern going on when the card flips open. And then on the back side of the card, we need some more of these 2-inch panels. These ones are a little bit longer, so these ones are actually 2 3/4 of an inch in length. And again, I just need 3 of them, just like that. Okay, so now we just need to adhere them. I'm just using a nice thick piece of score tape. You might actually want to run your adhesive along both edges though. I just want to make sure that we're not here forever in this video. So I'm going to take my white strip. Now you want to make sure that this long piece goes right beside where you've got your little tab that you've created. So I'm just going to kind of line this up in the middle, just like that, and press down. And then right on the opposite side, so again, right beside the tab, I'm going to take my other piece. This was the other kind of long piece. And of course, I'm going to fight with the score tape here. Normally my score tape actually behaves a lot better than this, but of course, because I'm shooting a video, I'm going to have a hard time getting this off. There we go. All right, and we're going to line this one up again, making sure you don't have any little pieces of adhesive sticking off the edges. Right here in the middle, right beside that tab. There we go, just like that. It's okay that you've got a little bit of an edge there because that's going to be on the inside anyway. And then I'll take these ones. We'll see how many more of these that I need to fight with as we go through. And I'm going to take the same pattern and I'm going to put them all three across the top here, just like that. And it's kind of nice because at the measurements I gave you, you get a little bit of kind of the black edge or whatever it is base color that you used. Oh, and of course you want to match up your pattern. So that's why I flipped that one around there. So my pattern was matching. And then the last one, there we go, just like that. Perfect. Okay, and remember, we don't need any for the inside, so now we're just going to do the back. Then I'm going to start with the bottom panel pieces, and we'll just go across the back here. You can see how much better the score tape is behaving. Of course, now that I said that, now I'm jinxing myself. There we go. And then I've got one last pink one, and then we'll do the green ones up here too. We'll be set to go. Now you could, if you wanted, just do all of these panels in exactly the same pattern paper. It doesn't really matter because each one is kind of separate from the other ones. So depending on what kind of paper you're working with, it could look cute actually, even if you were doing a monochromatic card, to keep all of these panels the same. And then again, you would just really cut those 2-inch strips and then just trim them down to the length that you need. So it could be a lot easier even than the card right now that I happen to be making. Oops, a little bit of adhesive sticking up on there. Perfect, awesome. So just like that. And you can see when I fold it up, I've got all of the panels going on. So now we just need to kind of glue it together. And again, I'm just going to take a little piece of score tape. Really important here when you're doing this section that you don't have any extra adhesive sticking out anywhere. And you really want it up against one of the edges, whether it's the inside edge or the outside edge, it doesn't really matter. We'll peel this back here, tuck in that extra adhesive, and then this is going to become the inside. So you just fold it in halfway and then fold this one up and over top of that one, just like that. If you've got your scoring tool handy, just take it and just make sure those folds are nice and tight again, and that it's folding in different directions. And then you can kind of see here, of course I can drop it, that my box card, basically kind of the main construction here is all set and ready to go. All right, now hopefully you haven't lost these little small pieces that we created earlier on while you've been crafting. But these are the little sections that you need to work with now. Now these are going to be your little tabs that go inside of your box. And you want to fold them so that they're kind of a Z shape. And then adhesive on each of the outside edges of your little pieces. And again, I've just used score tape, but whatever you like to use is fine. So again, we've got them kind of in the Z shape. And I'm going to take one edge and I'm going to line it up right in the front corner of the card. And I'm going to pinch this other edge so the adhesive actually doesn't touch the other side of the box card. And I can tell right now that this is going to be a little hard for you to see because I used black paper. But let me just see if I can get this in here and then I'll hold it up so you can see. So I've just lined it up in this little corner here. And again, this side I haven't adhered to anything yet. It's just kind of free floating in the middle there. And all I'm going to do to make sure it lines up perfectly is I'm just going to start to squeeze the card shut. And that's actually going to create this nice straight line for you. And the other side, once you pop it closed, just like that, is actually going to be adhered exactly where you need it to be, just like that. And I'll show you again with the next one. You're going to do exactly the same thing. So I've created that Z shape with adhesive on the outside edges of the Z. This time I'm going to use the back corner, and I'm going to fold this side in so it's not touching anything except my fingers. I'm going to line this up on the inside of the card right there so it's touching. Again, this one's not adhered to anything yet, and I'm just going to kind of pop it down so it's in line with the edge, the fold line there, just like that. And I'm just going to squeeze the card shut, and then it will be right where you need it to be. Okay, so here's the fun part. Now we get to actually add the stamps on. Now you have a bunch of surfaces to work with. You've got your panels kind of on the sides here, and you've got the ones in the middle. And the neat thing is when you close the card, what actually ends up happening is you can actually have some of your embellishments coming off of the side a little bit, because when you kind of pinch it shut, the other panels cover it up. So I usually work with just some of this kind of clear film that you can get embellishments on, but coordinating cardstock works as well. It's entirely up to you. This stuff can be a little tricky just because some of the adhesives don't work very well on it. But I like the fact that it's almost invisible when you're working with it. So I'm just cutting a small strip here. And this strip is actually just going to go on the back of my stamps. Now again, these stamps are from the new Monster Hug set from Crafting Kimmy Stamps. I just love them. And I've colored them up with Copics, and then I've just fussy cut them. So now what you want to do is you want to figure out where are you going to put your embellishment. So I think she's the littlest one. So kind of the trick that I've noticed is you want your smaller, lower embellishments towards the front and your bigger ones at the back. So I'm just going to take a little bit of score tape here, and I'm just going to take one of my pieces of film and just add it to the back of her. And then this is going to be kind of the back side. I want her feet to kind of be free of the acetate, so she almost kind of looks like she's kind of dancing or jumping. And then I'm just going to take this and I'm just going to adhere it onto the first panel that I created that goes across my box. So there you go. You can see she's kind of got a little bit of movement, and you can see she sticks off towards the side, but don't worry because the other panels will cover her up. So you don't have to worry. Sometimes also with this, you want to work with adhesive that isn't going to completely stick the first time. I find that sometimes I need to move my embellishments around a little bit to make them look the way that I want to. So using an adhesive that's going to give you a little bit of ability to move things around can be really helpful. Sometimes that's why the clear film can work really well as, for this as well. So again, we'll just add another panel onto this little guy. And remember, like I've done the score tape on one side and then on the reverse side, but it doesn't really matter. It just depends on how you want to adhere them into your box card. So we'll just kind of press this guy down into here. So hopefully you can see him there. So you can see he almost kind of looks like he's standing in the middle of the card without holding on to anything. So it's kind of cool. And he's got a little bit of movement. And then I think this little guy, I'm just going to adhere right onto the back of the card. So don't need any of the film for this part. I'll just get him right here, kind of over on the back side. Sorry, I think I'm going off camera here a bit. This is a little bit of a fiddly part because you just want to make sure you get them where you want them. And then there you go. You close up your card. You want to make sure that none of your adhesive is sticking out anywhere because it'll hold your card shut. So there you have it, a little pop-up box card tutorial for you. I hope you'll give this technique a try. It's a lot of fun, and there's a ton of great Crafting Kimmy stamps that would work perfectly with this little interactive card. In the meantime, don't forget to pop by the store and see what we've got for you. Thanks for stopping by.